Hi, this is Steve Adubato. Everything you wanted or needed to know about higher education, not just in New Jersey, but across the nation. The panel that you're about to meet, they'll tell you because they are living it every day. We have our good friend, Marjorie Perry, who's president and CEO of MZM Construction Management and a trustee of our production company, the Caucus Educational Corporation. Michele Siekerka, you know Michele from being with us and a lot of other stuff. She's the president and CEO of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. And we're honored to also have Dr. Brian Bridges, New Jersey Secretary of Higher Education. Good to have you all with us.
Good to see you, Steve.
Mr. Secretary, let me ask you this. The state of higher education in New Jersey, give us your assessment, particularly as we go into May 2022. This will be seen later. How are we doing in higher ed, particularly dealing with COVID and beyond?
Sure. Well, thank you, Steve, for the invitation and being here. The state of higher education in New Jersey is strong. The Murphy administration has invested over $150 million in new additional funding in higher education during his term in office. And we're working to make college more affordable through initiatives like our Community College Opportunity Grant and our Garden State Guarantee, which is launching this fall. So we are happy to say that students have more opportunity to attend college and university in New Jersey than they ever had before. And our institutions have been buoyed a bit by the federal investments through the coronavirus relief packages, as well as the Higher Education Relief Fund and Emergency Relief Fund. And so they're coming out of the pandemic and looking to try to strengthen their position and bring more students back to campus.
Appreciate that. Michele, let me ask you before I go to Marjorie. Is there any part of what the secretary said that you see differently in terms of the higher ed environment in New Jersey?
I wouldn't say differently. I'd say that, we've had our eye on affordability and attractability to keep our next generation worker here in the state of New Jersey, and we see strides in that direction. I will say that we see good collaboration between business, academia, as well as bringing in our students. And when we talk about academia, we talk about, K-16 and beyond. We're proud to be in a partnership with the New Jersey Community College Consortia with an $8.5 million grant on career pathways and high demand jobs. I want us to come back, though, to that issue about what we're doing to focus specifically on in-demand jobs, because I think that's a critical point for us right now.
We're going to come back to that, but Marjorie, let me ask you. There's a lot of issues here, and let everyone know what MZM Construction and Management is, and then I'll come back to my question. Let everyone know, Marjorie.
We are a construction and engineering company that works on very high-profile projects throughout the United States of America, primarily the East Coast, infrastructure projects, airports, hotels, et cetera.
But Marjorie, let me ask you this, and I won't personalize this other than the fact that I know that we're not alone in this. I very much wanted our children to go to New Jersey institutes of higher learning. I'm a Rutgers grad, Montclair State undergraduate. I did my graduate work, blah, 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 blah at Rutgers. That didn't happen. 2 at Fordham, 1 about to go to college, and let's just say it's likely he's not going to wind up in a New Jersey school. The so-called brain drain. Even for those of us who are bullish on New Jersey, we're losing too many of our kids, they're young adults, to institutions of higher learning in other states. Am I exaggerating that, Marjorie Perry?
No. The issue that we have with our higher education today is that we have great schools. There's no question about that. I'm a graduate of Kane University and NJIT. Oh, did I drop Harvard in there? No, but anyway.
No, yeah, you did that last time. Check out our last interview with Marjorie where she brags about Harvard. Go ahead.
But things have changed now. I just had a parent that called the other day who Delaware State is offering their kid to come to Delaware University and offered them $20,000. I could only get $6,000 out of one of our state schools here. That's where we're going to start seeing the brain drain. So what I did was move some of my scholarship dollars over to save this kid to stay in the state of New Jersey. He was out.
But that's one at a time, Marjorie. That's not policy. That's great that you did that. But what do we need to change, Marjorie? And I'll come back to Michele in a second.
I think that someone like Dr. Bridges, Michele, people like myself, other CEOs of universities, we have to sit down and do a think tank among ourselves. businesses, industry, what we need. Michele and I were on a board last week about labor shortage.
Right.
A lot of kids don't want to go to, they don't care if you're giving them free college. They are not interested in going to school right now. So you have a tripod of issues coming at the same time. If my son can get $80,000 over at Delaware State, he's going to go there. Talked to someone last night, their kid is getting more money to go to Drexel. So we have to come up with some kind of policy effectively so Dr. Bridges can go back to the administration and say, hey, listen, if we want to keep and retain, these are some of the new ideas we need to come up with, and be adaptive and be clear about that.
Michele, I'll come back to you. But Dr. Bridges, this isn't the first time you've heard this. And you're not responsible for all of it. You can't pull this off by yourself. But if other universities and colleges and other places around the country are offering, they're just saying, come on, and we're going to show me the money. Okay, New Jersey is not doing that, can't do that. But you were just saying that the funding levels have gone up. But those who say it's very hard to compete. Go ahead, Secretary.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to address this issue around outmigration, because it's technically a bit overstated. And it is a bit overstated. And actually, I testified in front of the Assembly for our budget hearing yesterday, and this came up. This is a regular topic of conversation. And when you look at the outmigration issue, it's a complex matter that have several factors at play. One, the incredible quality of K through 12 schools in New Jersey makes our students prime targets for offers from around the country. Two, we have a high income state where there are several families who can't afford to send their kids out of state. And, you know, when these kids come from privilege, they often want to go and venture out and do something different, like go to Harvard or go to other schools
Yes.
in other places.
But Harvard's gotten enough plugs for Harvard. They don't need any more.
No, they don't need any more. But then third, also, the nation is experiencing a decline in secondary school enrollments, leading to increased competition for students, as has been pointed out already. So when you look at all those factors, and then when you look at the data over the last 50 years, Steve, year in, year out, no matter what the state has tried, the percentage of students leaving the state stays around 30%. Around a third of the students who graduate from high school every year leave the state to go elsewhere. And when you talk to a lot of folks who come back, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that that a lot of these outmigrants come back to New Jersey to live. And so when we're competing against states like Pennsylvania and New York, which have more than twice, in some instances, 3 times the number of institutions that we have in New Jersey, it's, you know, New Jersey will always be a place that is prime target for other institutions to recruit.
Michele, the Secretary says a lot of them come back. And you've been on with us in the past from talking about the economics of this, of the brain drain. A lot of them, respectfully, Secretary, a lot of them don't come back, and they spend their money and they settle with their families and they have jobs other places, and quote, we lose them. Go ahead, Michele.
Yeah, 2 points. Yeah, 18 to 34-year-olds are still the largest outmigration population from the state of New Jersey. And so embedded in that are those that go to, you know, that are beyond even the college experience. So we need to focus on them because that's our future workforce. But, you know, attractability. We launched a branding campaign right before COVID, unfortunately, so it didn't get legs. But this state is not visible when it comes to, you know, higher ed as a brand. And I could tell you, Steve, unfortunately, my kids were the same as yours. I couldn't get them to look at New Jersey schools because New Jersey schools weren't pitching them like everybody out of state was. I go to the mailbox every day, 50, I have twins, okay? So 50, 100 applications are falling out and brochures, all from out of state. And I'm like, where's Rutgers? Where's Kane? Where are those, you know, state schools pitching my kids? And so we realized NJBIA led in our education equation report, the #1 recommendation, let's brand this state. Because when you ask those students what they want exactly what this state can deliver, right? They want a competitive.
We have the goods.
We have the goods.
Can compete.
We can compete. Right. So let's do it. Let's get our gloves on and let's compete. Let's get that visibility lifted up to these kids and say why you should stay here and why you have a great opportunity staying here.
Secretary, I know you want to jump back in, but a lot of the discussion about it, I have to say this, making higher ed institutions in New Jersey, I don't like using this word, we're in public broadcasting, but in all seriousness, sexier. Because when my kid's like, what about why? I ask them why that school. Well, there's something about their basketball. It's the students. You know, I see their logo everywhere. It seems like it's a great. Everyone's talking about it. I'm thinking, what? And I'm trying to pitch. Go ahead, Secretary. Jump back in, and I'll come to you, Marjorie.
No, I was just going to say that to the points that have been made thus far, there is quite a bit of the capacity issue is something that we have to be mindful of as well. 90% of the students who attend our public institutions actually are from New Jersey. So our institutions are bursting. Prior to COVID, our institutions were bursting and accommodating, enrolling.
They don't have the capacity,
students.
Secretary Bridges?
I think a lot of them, if you were to talk to the leaders, a lot of them wouldn't have the capacity, especially housing traditional age students to bring them, more of them to campus. A lot of them wouldn't have the capacity.
Marjorie, go ahead.
You know, can I say something, Dr. Bridges?
You can say anything you want.
I'm the chair of the board for the Foundation for NJIT. One of the biggest issues we have is getting funding from the state so we can keep our kids in these schools. And we get such a small percentage now from the state, just from our allocated dollars. So, you know, I'm always looking at, you know, what else can we do to raise money? So, and I'm looking more at our Black and brown children who, you know, is falling off at a faster rate than any other group to even want to think about going to college. You know, where does the state say we have to start increasing support dollars to the university? That's all your state schools across the board. And that's a real big pain point for us. I mean, we're out hustling all day, every day.
But Marjorie, respectfully, sorry for interrupting, Marjorie, but Secretary Bridges started this program. This is you know, I'm a fan of the term separate realities. It comes from Dr. Richard Carlson in his book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. I said, what are separate realities? Well, Secretary Bridges was saying that the Murphy administration is spending more in higher ed. You know, it's significant. And you're saying we're out there.
Well, we haven't seen it yet, so maybe it's coming.
But Secretary, if there are separate realities.
Yes, we've increased operating aid to institutions, and actually with our new outcomes-based allocation funding formula, NJIT will see an increase. Now, if you're looking for a $200 million increase, that's probably not going to happen.
Dr. Bridges, why not? That'd be great.
Listen,
well, you know,
it sounds like Marjorie's lobbying right here on public television.
Yes, she is. Yes, the state has lots of obligations. But I will say that we've invested significantly in our students. And New Jersey actually awards more student aid dollars per student than any other state in the country.
Okay. All right, so let's shift gears. There are a significant number of students, and this is not debatable, I don't believe, a significant number of students who start college in New Jersey, and across the nation, but in New Jersey, that do not finish. Michele, are we seeing a significant amount of that, A? And B, does it make the trades or non-traditional less than 4-year institutions more attractive because it makes more sense for more younger people? Please, Michele.
Yeah, so let me say, I believe in lifelong learning, but I have really come to understand that it does not need to be the usual trajectory of straight up K-16 like the way I came up. Okay, I'm an attorney by trade, so I believe in lifelong learning. What we can do to address the affordability aspects, right, is recognize, earn and learn, ergo the brand, okay? Learn more, earn more, be more in the state of New Jersey. That's the branding campaign we're getting to go with, to say to students, stack credentials along the way. Let's look at how we give academic credit as well as credentials for life experience.
What does that mean? Credentials for example, give us an example, Michele.
Skills. So I took a 6-week course in how to build this widget and I passed the test. I now have a certificate that says I know how to build that widget. Guess what? That certificate has a value to it. Now, if I can get academic credit for that certificate, in addition to additional academic credit for my life experience for the 4 years I've been working with that certificate, I got a leg up. All right. Affordability. Let's get our act together on transfer credits. Okay. I mean, this is something
what does that mean?
Oh my gosh. So, you know, a student goes from one school to another and they have to retake Psych 101 because the curriculum does not line up exactly as it did, maybe from an out-of-state school or even a community. Well, that's my, you know, I'm only stating the challenge that we've been trying to bring a solution to. And I know it's a very difficult solution to get to, but this is the type of think tank, as Marjorie said. I think we pick 5 priorities that address affordability, because guess what? If that kid is retaking a course for the value and cost. That's right. And you know what? They're already a transfer student, which means they might be behind. So guess what? Their momentum is dying at the same time, right? We see students who drop out and want to get back. And if they can't get credit for those credits they already have, they're inclined not to come back because they can't afford it and they won't take the time.
I'm going to give the Secretary a chance to respond. Secretary, I hope you don't regret agreeing to do the program. Please,
No,
Secretary Bridges.
I appreciate these opportunities to clarify things. So with our affordability agenda, with the Community College Opportunity Grant and the Garden State Guarantee, we're reducing barriers and obstacles to financial barriers and obstacles for students to enroll and realize that college is a feasibility for them. If you're from the lowest income categories below $65,000, you'd qualify to get your tuition and fees free at a 2-year and a 4-year institution if you take advantage of both. But then also, Michele just touched on something that we're launching this year. In the governor's proposed budget is a program we're calling the Some College No Degree Initiative, which is designed—
What's it called?
Some College No Degree.
Go ahead.
There are almost 1 million people in New Jersey with some college credit, but no degree. They started college and never completed. That's almost 15% of the adult workforce. And what we want to do, 80% of those people started at a community college. We want to re-engage them this year. We want to track them down, identify them, provide them personalized re-enrollment supports. And one of the things we want to do is to shorten their time to degree by awarding credit for work experience through prior learning assessments. Exactly what Michele just talked about.
Michele, excuse me, Marjorie, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, if you could, the trades and higher education, because that's a world you know very well, please.
As far as I'm concerned, Michele was dead on what she just said. We have to start looking at alternative pathways to a degree. And we have to bring the trades in. We have to have them with some skill set, because theory and practicum is not lining up. That's why we have a work shortage that we have today. So if somehow we can continue to combine that and shape the curriculum, we'll be good to go. I think that'll be a great opportunity for our kids.
Marjorie, thank you. Michele, thank you. Mr. Secretary, thank you. The future of higher education, let's just say this, is a topic worthy of discussion. That's all I'm going to say. So thanks to all of you. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by New Jersey Institute of Technology, Operating Engineers, Local 825, Choose New Jersey, IBEW Local 102, Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Holy Name, and by NJM Insurance Group. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz and by New Jersey Globe.
Hello, I'm Dr. Luke Ironman, a family medicine specialist at Holy Name. When was your last visit to your primary care doctor? Throughout the pandemic, many patients have put off their annual physicals and screenings, but preventative healthcare is critical for early detection of illnesses and to avoid future health problems. Your doctor can also help you develop a wellness plan to achieve your personal health goals. Your health can't wait. Be proactive and talk to your primary care doctor today about scheduling your annual physical.